Imagine waking up in the middle of a silent city. Empty streets. No voices. No people. Just abandoned cars, crumbling buildings, and a cold air that chills to the bone. Then you realize you're the only one left alive. But something is strange. The zombies don't attack you. They just stand there, silent, staring at you like they're waiting for something from you. What is really going on? Who are you really? Before we begin the story, please share your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think only he survived? And what do those zombie stares mean? Now sit back and listen carefully to this tale until the very end. That morning, I woke up on the floor of my room with a throbbing headache and the ticking of the wall clock sounding painfully loud. No cars, no birds, nothing, just silence. My hand trembled as I reached for my phone, but there was no signal. All messages stopped at 3 a.m. I stepped outside slowly. The streets, usually filled with vendors and school children, were deserted. Doors hung open, vehicles abandoned, and the wind scattered torn newspapers filled with last night's headlines. About an outbreak, about a lockdown, about people vanishing. I walked through a narrow alley, past houses with doors left halfway open. A foul stench came from an old house at the far end, but still no sounds. No crying, no screaming, not even flies. I headed for the town square. It used to be full of food stalls and young people hanging out, but now, empty. Only bodies lay scattered, stiff, turning blue. Some looked like they were sleeping, but in strange positions, like they were running before collapsing. Then I heard something. Not footsteps, not voices, but groaning, slow, heavy echoing. From behind the bakery, a man appeared, his face deformed. His eyes were completely white, his clothes soaked in blood. I froze, but strangely he didn't attack. He didn't move forward. He just stood there, staring. Then another appeared, and another. Within minutes, dozens of them gathered around the square. They formed a half circle, motionless, all staring at me with lifeless eyes that shouldn't hold any awareness. I stepped back slowly, but they didn't chase me. They just watched, and that's when I realized I was the only human left in this dead city. But they were all acting like they knew me, and this was only the beginning. I ran, not because they chased me, but because those empty eyes followed every step I took. Hundreds of them, standing still, yet somehow more terrifying than if they had lunged. It felt like walking through a sea of statues that could spring to life at any second. I reached the supermarket. The glass doors were shattered, and the inside was ransacked. Shelves overturned. Blood smeared on the floor and walls. Shopping carts rusting in place. But no people, not even one. Just silence and that lingering metallic smell of death. I grabbed a flashlight and headed for the back storage room. Maybe I could rest. Maybe I could think. I locked the door behind me and slid down to the cold tile floor. My breath was ragged, my body trembling, but my mind raced faster than ever. Why me? Why was I spared? Did I escape infection? Or was this something worse? My heart nearly stopped when I heard it. Footsteps, not groaning, not dragging. Footsteps, slow, measured, human. I turned off the flashlight. The doorknob twisted gently. Once, then again, but the door didn't open. No one spoke. No one knocked. Just silence. Then, from the thin line of light under the door, a shadow appeared. It didn't move. It just stayed there, blocking the light, watching. I clutched a metal rod I had found earlier. If it came in, I'd swing. But the shadow eventually faded. I waited a full hour before unlocking the door. Nothing was there. Not even a trail. I stepped outside. The zombies were still there. In the street. On the sidewalks. Still staring. But this time, something changed. They moved aside. Not to block me. Not to trap me. They cleared a path. As if they wanted me to go somewhere. As if they were waiting for me to arrive. And without realizing it, my feet began to follow that path. Through streets I barely remembered. Past buildings that should have been familiar, but now looked like ruins from a forgotten world. And in the middle of that path, I saw something that made my chest tighten. A figure, human, standing alone in the distance, waiting. He stood at the edge of the old stadium parking lot, his back turned to me, wearing a dark coat that fluttered in the wind. Around him, dozens of zombies stood in a circle, unmoving, as if forming a barrier. But they didn't touch him. They didn't even look at him. They were all still looking at me. I hesitated. My feet wanted to stop, but something deeper pulled me forward. I crossed the parking lot, passing between the infected, who made no effort to stop me. Their heads turned slightly as I moved, but that was all. When I was just a few steps away, the man finally turned around. He was in his 50s, with sunken eyes and gray stubble on his chin. His face was familiar, too familiar. I had seen it before, on news articles, on posters. Dr. Ezra Leem, the virologist who vanished just before the outbreak. "You're immune," he said softly, as if stating something I should have known all along. "But that's not what makes you special." My throat was dry. I wanted to ask how he survived, what he was doing here, why the zombies weren't tearing us apart. He raised one hand, and the infected behind him stepped back as if obeying an unspoken command. "They don't see you as prey," he continued, "because you're not. You're part of it now." My skin went cold. "What are you talking about?" I finally managed to whisper. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he pointed to the center of the stadium. The gates were open. Inside, I could see faint lights glowing, red and unnatural. "It's not just a virus," he said. "It's something older, something that chose you." I shook my head, backing away, but the zombies behind me closed the path. Not aggressively, just enough to guide me forward. I looked at Ezra again. "Come," he said. "I don't want to. You were never meant to want it, but it's already inside you." My knees felt weak. The air thickened with a strange pressure, like the atmosphere itself was watching me. And from deep within the stadium, I heard something stir. A low, echoing thrum. Not mechanical. Not human. Alive. Calling. The further I walked into the stadium, the more unnatural everything became. The lights inside didn't flicker like electricity. They pulsed, like a heartbeat. Faint red glows throbbed along the walls, seeping through cracks like veins under skin. The air was thick with humidity and a coppery scent that clung to my throat. Ezra walked ahead without fear. The zombies did not follow us inside. They remained outside the stadium, standing like sentinels under the darkening sky. We moved through dark corridors that had once echoed with cheers and footsteps. Now they were silent, except for the pulse, the rhythm of something ancient, living, watching. Years ago, Ezra finally spoke. "We found something buried beneath the city. Not man-made, not from this world. We thought it was dormant, but it wasn't." I couldn't speak. My lips moved, but nothing came out. I just followed, my steps unsteady, my fingers tingling. "We called it the core," he continued. "A living organism, older than time. It doesn't kill. It absorbs. It learns. It evolves." We descended a narrow stairwell that spiraled downward, farther than it should have gone. It felt like we were beneath the earth, beneath the city's foundation, in a place untouched by light. Then we reached it, a chamber, massive, circular, lined with walls that pulsed with red, like breathing muscle. In the center was a mound, not stone, not flesh, something between, and from it dozens of tendrils reached out, some merging with the floor, some vanishing into the ceiling. And at the center of it all, something was floating, a cocoon, human-sized, glowing. "You see it, don't you?" Ezra asked, his voice almost reverent. I nodded slowly, unable to tear my eyes away. "It called to you because you're the last, the final shape, the one it's been waiting for." I took a step back. "No," I said, barely louder than a breath. "That's not possible." "It's not a question of possible," he said. "It's already happening. You felt it the moment you woke up, didn't you? The silence, the hunger, the way they looked at you." My hands trembled. The cocoon shifted. Something inside moved. And then I heard it, not with my ears, but inside my mind. A whisper, calling me by name. The The whisper was gentle at first, soft like a memory, a voice that sounded like mine, but older, deeper, echoing from a place far beyond the walls of the chamber. I clutched my head as the sound grew louder, not in volume, but in presence. It wasn't speaking through my ears. It was threading itself through my thoughts, weaving into everything I believed was mine. You were always meant to return. Ezra stood in silence beside me, watching, not with fear, with awe. What is it? I gasped. What does it want from me? It doesn't want, he said. It remembers. The cocoon rippled, and for a moment, I saw something inside. A silhouette curled in a fetal position, surrounded by tendrils of pulsing light. Its shape was identical to mine. Same height, same build, and then it opened its eyes. Not fully, just enough to look at me. My body froze. My heart stopped for a second too long, because I felt something I couldn't explain. Recognition. As if that thing, whatever it was, had known me long before I ever came here. Ezra stepped closer to Mound. His hands were trembling now. The core doesn't infect, he said. It mirrors. It reflects. You were the final piece it needed to become whole. But I'm not part of it. I shouted, taking a step back. You think you were born human, Ezra said quietly. But how do you explain your survival? How do you explain the silence? The way they look at you? I turned toward the entrance, but the corridor was gone. Not blocked. Gone. The walls had shifted behind me, sealing the chamber like a womb. The only way out was forward. The cocoon pulsed faster. The tendrils lifted, swaying like they were tasting the air. One of them slithered toward me. Slow, cautious, not threatening, but I stumbled back, heart pounding. And that's when it happened. A surge of images flooded my mind. Not memories, not dreams. Visions. Cities swallowed in red light. Skies choked with silence. People standing still, empty-eyed, waiting. And in every vision, I was there, at the center, unafraid, complete. Ezra fell to his knees, his face pale, his voice shaking. It's begun. I screamed, not out of fear, but defiance. I wasn't part of this. I wasn't a vessel or a final piece. I was just a person. I bled. I feared. I remembered my name, my life, the city before it all turned silent. But the voice inside me didn't care. It whispered truths too heavy to carry. You are not what you think you are. I dropped to my knees. My skin felt hot, then cold, then distant, like I was no longer in control of it. My fingertips twitched. My eyes ached. And then I saw through them differently. The chamber didn't look organic anymore. It looked structured, designed. The lights weren't pulses of blood, but signals, patterns, codes. Ezra reached for me, but didn't touch. It's unlocking you, he said. The version of you before this world. My thoughts splintered, and in the fragments, I saw things no human should ever see. Not just Earth. Other worlds. Other forms. Other lives. Each of them ending in silence. Each of them with one survivor. Me. Ezra was crying now, not from sadness, but acceptance. I tried to stop it, he said. We all did, but the core doesn't invade. It waits. It prepares. Then it reclaims. I stumbled forward. My legs didn't obey like they used to. I wasn't walking. I was being pulled. The cocoon split open, slow and soundless. Inside, the figure was no longer sleeping. It was standing. It had no face, no features, just a shape made of light and memory. But I knew it. It was me, not a clone, not an echo. The origin. It stepped forward, and so did I, matching its pace. The chamber around us responded. The walls brightened. The tendrils extended. I felt them enter my skin, not with pain, but with warmth, like returning to something I had lost long ago. Ezra backed away, trembling. You were never human, he whispered. The voice in my head answered for me. I tried to be. When I stepped out of the stadium, the sky was no longer the same. The clouds above were motionless, painted in hues of dark crimson and gray. The sun didn't shine. It glowed like a dying star, bleeding light across the broken skyline. And below it, the city had changed. The streets were no longer cracked and lifeless. They pulsed, faintly, like veins just beneath the Earth's surface. The buildings, though ruined, shimmered faintly with the same red patterns I had seen inside the core chamber. The infected were everywhere, standing on rooftops, filling the intersections, crowding the sidewalks. They didn't move. They didn't groan or reach out. They just watched me, every single one of them. Their eyes, clouded and lifeless before, now shimmered faintly with the same hue as the core. I felt no fear as I walked through them. They parted, slow and fluid, like water moving around a stone. Ezra followed behind me, but only for a few steps. He stopped at the stadium gates, as if he understood he could go no further. "You're not walking through the city anymore," he said. "You are the city." His words didn't startle me. Not anymore. I could feel them. Every heartbeat of the infected, every footstep echoing across cracked pavement, every breath of wind that carried the whisper of something old and endless. The city was awake, and I was its voice. I kept walking, down empty highways where cars sat rusted in place, through tunnels that pulsed with a faint red mist, across bridges where nothing stirred but me. And everywhere I went, they followed, not like a horde, but like worshippers, silent, obedient, not to destroy, but to become part of what I was now, whatever that meant. The hunger I'd felt since the beginning was gone, replaced by something colder, clearer. I didn't need food, or water, or sleep. I had become what the core intended. I stopped in the middle of the city square. The tallest buildings loomed around me, silent giants beneath the red sky. The infected formed a perfect circle around me, like stone guardians awaiting their next breath. And in the silence, I finally understood what the core had shown me. This wasn't the end of the world. It was the beginning of its next version. And I was its first breath, its voice, its will, the last human memory, wrapped in something far older than flesh.